Welcome to another episode of Rise Above the Grind. I am your hostess, the Consultress, Alissa, bringing you interesting conversations with innovative people who are out there creating value in the world. And so we will get a little deeper today into what exactly is value and where does it come from and the core of who you are. But as we always ask of all of our guests, we want to know, what does the grind mean to you? Because what we're up to in this inquiry, is how are you thinking in today's day and age? How are you thinking about words that have been around forever now in today's context? Because things are not going back to normal. Things are not as they seem. They are as we seem to imagine them. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my guest today, Michael Sharp. Welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure to be here. Listen, thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, my pleasure. I like what you've got to say. You and I've had a few conversations, and I am really excited to get your brain power and your alignment and heart set here out into the world, out into this audience. So, can you please define for us, what grind means to you?
Yeah, and I appreciate this podcast series because there's different definitions, right? And I've gotten some good takeaways from some of the previous guests and things I never would have thought of that are different. For me and us and the work that we do, when I think of the grind, automatically it's as opposed to the flow state. The grind is the opposite of the flow state. I don't know about anybody that is immediately attracted to the idea of a grind, unless you like sandpaper on your face or something like that, or I don't know. I mean, I can't think of any applications where a grind is good, maybe in shredding and, skiing, snowboarding and skating. But other than that, the grind obviously has a connotation of atrophy or energy, like wearing something down at a cost. And to me, that's the opposite of the flow state. We've probably and hopefully all experienced the flow state where we're just in a natural rhythm of contribution and things are amazing and hence the flow. So that's what I would probably contribute is what I think of with that term.
And so some of the themes that have come up in some of these discussions is that, when you think of a grinder, you're usually taking nuts and putting them into the grinder and then they come out flour or oats or whatever. So the act of grinding is a breaking down into very fine parts, not necessarily being whole. And some of the conversation here that we're looking to flip over is, that right now in our work and life and our culture at large, you hear like rise and grind. You hear I'm up to the hustle and grind, or I'm grinding on this right now. In your experience, in your personal space, how has the depleted definition, the grind, that you have defined it here, how has that showed up for you as either a warning flag or kind of a recognition point for you
Yeah,
about when there's time for change? Or tell me,
yeah.
color it in for me.
There's so many places to kind of go with that question, right? We're all trying to figure out who am I and optimize who we are in meaning and purpose. So it's kind of like I was thinking about this, and it's kind of like two polar opposite on a spectrum: the grind versus the flow state. And then I was actually thinking about a third option. So maybe this is a little bit of a rabbit trail, but the third option is you're not even trying. So my wife shared something that just flattened me last night. She said something, I don't know if this is true, but there was a speaker that said like 60 or 70% of youth are starting to experiment with AI relationships. And that person that wrote this book, Screen Kid, they said 50% of 2 to 4 year olds have a tablet device and 2/3 of 5 to 8 year olds. So I'm concerned about generations that like they're not even trying. They're just on these devices. But for all of us that are out there, there's a tension between the grind and the flow state. Um, so it kind of depends on a million things. Let's look at your audience. If your audience is professionals, maybe solopreneurs, people that are trying to do a deeper contribution for themselves and the world. There we see the issue of the grind showing up a lot, and there's a lot of blind spots that people have. So if your audience is a lot of solopreneurs or micropreneurs, they've got their dream, they're trying to get their business up and running, but they find that there's some disadvantages when you're starting off on your own. You don't have a corporation of tons of employees around there to do other things. So the grind starts to show up when you must spend time wearing hats that possibly you're not wired or suited for. That becomes a grind. So for coaches and consultancy and professional businesses, there's a high failure rate Why? Well, because it's different when you have to go out on your own. There's the dream of being an entrepreneur, but then there's a lot of functional things to make it happen. So we're able to diagnose, well, first of all, who are you? What's your hard wiring? What's your blind spots? So it comes to a point to where your highest and best value sometimes it's delegating out the things that you feel you must do that's absolutely demotivating for you. Well, it's better to pay somebody 30 or 40 bucks an hour to do that if you can chase down a client and close them where you're paid 150 or 300 an hour, right? When it makes sense.
Yeah.
But some of us, we struggle and we spend money on things we don't know whether it works, but we don't know ourselves. So let's start with knowing ourselves. The other aspect where it shows up is a weak muscle, or we call it a sleepy core value. And maybe it's something that's kind of in you and dormant. It's just not used very much, but there's enough there that you can consciously shift from moments of time. And that will help elevate and hopefully make more intentional the amounts of time you're in a flow state because you're optimizing who you are.
So, I mean, so much value I'm grabbing as you're speaking. When you talk about the entrepreneur that needs to wear a million hats, and that's where kind of the concept of grind is introduced. I'm looking at this going, I better be taking notes, because every time I pivot, every time I endeavor to do something new or revised or expanded, the grind shows up in another little nuanced type of way. And most recently, I've had an executive assistant alongside me for over a year now. And the more she takes over, I'm finding this split where the identity that I used to maintain about having to have everything organized in spreadsheets, I manage the data, I manage the insights and everything. Now she's doing that for my business, and I'm looking at my home space going, should I be doing that there either? I don't know. I don't think, because my identity is now shifting gradually where I used to need to have those things in order to, count myself valuable. But as I grow and as I offer more transformation and I'm like narrowing in on what my value is, what my zone of genius is to deliver, I'm starting to realize where all the other roadblocks are. And maybe
Yep.
I need some more resources and some other people there, but I never would have known that if I had not decided to play a bigger game, if I had not decided to hire the assistant, that now I have less noise in the background, and I'm able to hear myself think more, so better ideas are coming to me. And now it becomes even more apparent when there are things that are grinding on me. So the things that I used to tolerate because the bigger grind had to be taken care of, now those little grinds have grown in the
Yeah.
background. And so I love that perspective of, how it creeps in, because I always thought of it as like an on and an off switch. But I love this gradient that you're sharing.
It's constantly creeping in. Abraham Maslow said, we have capacities clamoring to be used, and that noise goes away when our capacities are well used. It's a wonderful poetic statement. But what do we do in reality? The 80-20 rule, the great resignation, the great attrition, quiet quitting, half of marriages fail, how many people are raising kids and they end up raising some dysfunction, whether they mean it or not. There's so much subjectivity. There's accusation. Every one of us, we have a constant negativity and accusation that we have to battle. So we end up trying to sometimes solve these issues, but then we do it subjectively, and then we get frustrated. So that's our biggest benefit for our clients is employment pre-screening and hiring. Most small business owners dread the process of hiring. Why? Because they know it's going to suck a whole lot of time. It's subjective. Two female owners of a commercial real estate company told me this. We do all these interviews, and we stare at each other and like, I don't know, what are you going to pick? I don't know, just pick somebody, just get us over with. It's like they tap out. That's not a great way to grow your business. It's not a great way to honor, lift, and optimize the person that you eventually hire in that situation. Why can't we more intentionally shepherd, honor, and steward people? So when you look at yourself and that idea of a VA elevating you to your best contribution, you got to know how you're hardwired so you can optimize. And then you ideally should know about how the VA is hardwired. Because when you hire a VA, you're experiencing the 80-20 rule. How do you know you're getting somebody good? Or people are like AFK, away from keyboard. What are they doing here? So it's a way to help give you an understanding or an insurance policy to optimize your business and yourself by going to the true motivation, which is, am I okay? Am I valid? Do I have a place to contribute? This stuff I should be smart enough to do, but it drains me. Well, that's getting sucked into an accusation that every human being should be able to do anything. You just got to be trained to put your mind to it. No, that's not true.
No, that's industrial age thinking. Like I always have this, left brain, right brain analogy. The left brain has been wired over the last century-ish, maybe
Yeah,
more, that we
totally.
are part of a pre-scripted reality. And this urge to be ourselves, to be creative, has been smushed, saying, no, you need to fit into this hole. You need to do this. Otherwise, you're wrong or you're broken. And so I love the fact that in your work and in the values assessment, you help people to kind of understand what actually their core skill set or core mindset, core value set actually is, so that when they look at the world, they understand people from a more holistic space rather than the
Honorable,
function they
positive.
provide or the
Right.
job that they do. I mean, we're up here in this conversation talking about who are you, because people do business with people we like, know, trust. And that, my dear, is the reason why I've invited you to this podcast. Tell us a little bit about that work that you are up to in the world and how that is transforming lives for the better.
Yeah. So again, someone said that the brain has 60,000 thoughts per day, and like what is it? Like 70% of them are repeated, and something like 50 or 60% of them are negative. Okay, so I'm taking creative license with these facts. I don't have them in front of me, but the idea is we can all understand that we're surrounded by confusion, over complexity, and negativity. And how do we overcome that? Well, if every human being wants to be known and validated for who they are, first of all, the values work that we're doing, it's not company values, it's not societal or social values, it's the literal human identity. I have some sort of wired nature, and I want to find a place where I can be put to use where I'm naturally suited. And that's a top performer, where the nature of the work is well defined, you know what it is, and you know what you need. And then the nature of the person, you can find that with this tool. It's 20 to 40 percentage points more accurate than all the old gold standards of behavior and personality of the last century. So basically, I love what you talk about the industrial age model. I've heard you mention that before, and we subscribe to that. The industrial age model, like Henry Ford said, I hired people for their skills and experience, and what I got was their hearts and minds. So sometimes you have this a Western Descartes thinking of interchangeable parts, and human beings are just interchangeable parts, and we can reconfigure and they should be able to do everything. But it's not true, and it doesn't create a life of people that are contributing and enjoying satisfaction in the work. So what we do is, and my personal mission, first of all, is to encourage anybody. So I'll even put in a link here in the chat or whatever. It's a free account that you can set up, and you can take this tool. There's lots of tools out there, but this just goes deeper, and it has a 24 to 40 percentage points of more accuracy than the behavioral tools. So I'll put in a link that anyone can try it. It's called the Core Values Index.
I tried it,
And,
and
yep.
it's opened up some great conversations.
It's in the chat there. If you have available, you can post it if you have notes. But then my mission is to encourage people. And that's what you and I have done. There's no formal business relationship. You help me with the other networking group. I help you. And I'm not even wired myself for this. I'm not wired like a great life or executive coach, but I'm kind of like a sciencey sort of person. I'm like Neo in the Matrix, when suddenly something happens and he can see the code of people. This Core Values Index tool has helped me do that. And so, hopefully in our personal experience and anyone, I just want to encourage them. Hey, there's so much confusion. Let's double down on who are you, how are you wired, where are you not, where can you elevate? And then we all gain insights and clarity. Oh, that's right. I need to remind myself of this and that. So that's my personal mission, is just to encourage anybody to gain insights how you can get more toward the flow state and what the grind state specifically looks like for you. Because there's so many principles that are one to many: books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Better You, Working Genius, all these concepts, and a lot of TED Talks. But all of those things, the books and the TED Talks, don't know one thing: the individual hardwiring of the individual that's listening to it in the audience. It's one to many. So I represent a way for us and all of us doing this work to elevate the one-to-one, a sciencey laser focus on how we can get someone more forward and what the grind looks like for them, and then give them their unique makeup and go forward from there.
I I love this tool. So I just want to kind of bring our conversation full circle. In meeting people through the grand pursuit of business, my life is forever changed. So because I'm an entrepreneur, I get to have exposure to tools like this, to people like Michael, to be able to see myself, my clients, and my community in a new way that allows me to see it from who I really am and identify that grind faster. Part of what we all are up to in this age of disruption is learning how to be more agile and to take things as they come. As more disruption comes our way, to be able to look at it assess it for the truth that it is and it represents for us, for our businesses, for our lives, and make more informed and better decisions going forward. So thank you, Michael, for coming to share your brilliance and your wisdom and your tools. If you would like to take this assessment, please get a hold of me. It is something that I am happy to offer through this program as Michael's gift to you to be able to take this values assessment. But let's have a conversation and see how that grind is showing up for you and where we might need to make adjustments to be more in alignment. Michael, I know you help with the advisory firm that you're with. You use this tool on a bigger scale to help people hire the right folks so that they're hiring their hardwiring, not necessarily their proclivity or what they think they are today.
I like you, their skills and experience.
Yep. Exactly. So your gift to this world, thank you so much for sharing your time here with us. I'll share his contact information, but please do get in touch if you want to take this tool or if you want to use this tool in your organization. Let's get you in touch with Michael because he is moving mountains and he's truly allowing people to move from grind to flow in a way that allows you to stay more you as you grow. So thanks a million. For those of you listening on the broadcast, don't go away. We have another episode lined up right here for you with another amazing guest. Stay tuned.